March 11, 1944, 08:17 hours, 26,000 feet above the Ruhr Valley. The air is so cold it burns. 1,000 Boeing B-17s drone eastward in perfect boxes, their contrails stitching white scars across the pale morning sky. Inside the lead fortress of the 100th Bomb Group, a 23-year-old tail gunner named Robert Hansen is trying to keep blood moving in his toes. His breath freezes on the inside of his goggles. Somewhere ahead, beyond the formation's nose, lies Berlin, still 200 miles away. But already the flak starts to bloom. Black, ugly flowers that smell of burnt aluminum when the shards tear through the skin of the plane. And then they come. Black crosses on silver wings. Focke-Wulf 190s rolling in from 12 o'clock high. Sun flashing off their prop spinners like knives. The Germans dive in pairs, cannons blinking orange. The American gunners open up in a single ragged roar, 50 calibers hammering so hard the planes shudder. Tracers arc across the sky in lazy red curves. A B-17 to Hansen's left simply folds in half, wings shearing away, the fuselage tumbling end over end, men spilling out like rag dolls before their parachutes even have time to think. The Messerschmitts and Focke-Wulfs press the attack for 6 brutal minutes. They know the rules. They know the little escort fighters turned back miles ago, fuel running low. They know the bombers are alone. They always turn back. Except today. Out of the sun, low and fast, silver specks appear. At first, the German pilots think they are more of their own. Then the specks grow wings, long, graceful wings, liquid-cooled engines snarling. Grop tanks tumble away like black seeds. The new fighters climb hard, turning inside the 190s, and the Luftwaffe pilots feel something they have never felt before. Surprise. Oberleutnant Heinz Nock, Staffelkapitän of 5/JG-11, is the first to see the markings. A red and white checkerboard cow, the 235th Fighter Group. But these are not the short-legged P-47 Thunderbolts he is used to swatting aside. These are longer, sleeker, faster. These are P-51 Mustangs, and they have just flown 500 miles on internal fuel alone. Noak's mouth grows dry inside his oxygen mask. He yanks his Focke-Wulf into a desperate split S, trying to dive away. Too late. A Mustang slides onto his tail as if it belongs there. The pilot is 21-year-old Lieutenant Vernon R. Richards from the 336th Fighter Squadron, flying an airplane he calls Genie. Richards thumbs the trigger. 4.5 caliber machine guns spit fire. Noak's canopy shatters. The Focke-Wulf rolls over, trailing smoke and blood, and falls toward the patchwork fields below. That was the moment the entire Luftwaffe understood the rules had changed forever. Rewind 9 months. June 1943, North American Aviation Plant, Inglewood, California. The production floor smells of rivet guns and hot aluminum. A brand new fighter rolls out painted olive drab, registration 43-12152. The workers call her the Mustang, but the Army Air Force has already stamped her P-51B. She is beautiful the way a stiletto is beautiful. Long, narrow, deadly, built for one purpose. Across the Atlantic, in a smoky briefing hut at RAF Debden, England, a German intelligence officer pins a grainy photograph to the wall. The photo shows the new American fighter. The officer is Hauptmann Rolf Gunther Herrmichen, Abteilung 1C, of JG-2, Richthofen. He taps the picture with a gloved finger and laughs. Range barely 400 miles with drop tanks. Armament only 4 machine guns. A weak escort. Nothing to fear.
The other pilots laugh with him. They have been laughing at American fighters for 2 years. The P-40 was slow. The P-47 was a truck with wings. The P-38 had its engines in the wrong place. Every time the Americans tried to escort their bombers deep into Germany, the little fighters reached their fuel limit. waggled their wings goodbye, and turned for home. Then the Luftwaffe pounced. The laughter stops on January 11, 1944. That morning, 583 heavy bombers set out for targets around Braunschweig and Halberstadt. Escorting them all the way, for the first time ever, are P-51Bs of the 354th Fighter Group, the Pioneer Mustang Group. Their commander, Lieutenant Colonel Don Blakesley, has ordered every pilot to nurse their fuel, lean the mixtures until the engines cough, fly at the most economical cruise. They take off from Boxstead at dawn, tanks topped to overflowing, and they do not turn back. Over the Zuider Zee, German radar picks them up. Controllers scramble every fighter within reach. Major Gunther Rahl, Gruppenkommandeur of 3/JG-11, 150 victories to his name, climbs into his Bf 109 G6 and feels the familiar thrill. Today will be another turkey shoot. It is not. The Mustangs meet the bombers exactly on schedule. They weave above and below the boxes, relaxed, almost casual. Rahl attacks from astern, closing fast on a straggling B-24. He never sees the Mustang that kills him. Captain James Howard, alone because his wingman aborted with engine trouble, brakes hard, rolls, fires a 3-second burst. Rahl's Gustav snaps apart at the cockpit. Germany's third-ranking ace falls burning into the cold North Sea. Word spreads through the Jagdwaffe like wildfire. The Amis have a new fighter. It can stay with the bombers all the way to Berlin and all the way home. It turns tighter than a 109, dives faster than a 190, climbs like a homesick angel. And there are more coming, every day, rolling off the lines in California and Dallas. February 1944, the big week. For 6 days and nights, the 8th Air Force throws everything it has at the German aircraft industry. Factories that build Messerschmitts in Augsburg, Focke-Wulfs in Bremen, Junkers in Dessau. The Luftwaffe rises to defend its heartland, and every day the Mustangs are there waiting. On February 22nd, Colonel Hub Zemke leads the 56th Fighter Group, still flying P-47s, into a running battle over Münster. His Thunderbolts are low on fuel, almost ready to 400 knots. The 4th Fighter Group converted to P-51s only weeks earlier. Captain Don Gentile and his wingman Major John Godfrey tear into a swarm of Bf 109s like wolves into sheep. In 90 seconds, 4 Messerschmitts are gone. Gentile's gun camera film will be shown in theaters across America. People will stand and cheer in the dark. Back in Germany, Reich Marshal Goering receives the casualty reports and slams his fist on the desk so hard the metals jump on his chest. He screams, "They are over Berlin! I told you no enemy fighter would ever fly over the Reich!" His chief of staff, General Adolf Galland, says nothing. He is staring at a map dotted with red pins that mark every airfield now within reach of the new American escort. There are no safe havens left. March 4th, 1944, the first major raid on Berlin. 730 heavies cross the coast. 31 will not return. But for the first time, the bombers reach the German capital in daylight and leave it burning. And for the first time, the P-51s roam the sky above the Reichstag itself, hunting anything that flies a black cross.
Hauptmann Egon Meyer, Kommodore des JG-2, einer der Great Experten des westlichen Frontsbuchlat, climbed to intercept. He has developed the head-up attack to perfection, closing at 800 miles an hour, firing, breaking away. Today he tries it against a box of B-17s protected by the 357th Fighter Group. Lieutenant Charles Chuck Yeager, 21 years old, West Virginia hillboy, is flying top cover in a Mustang he has named Glamorous Glen after his girlfriend. Yeager sees Meyer coming, rolls inverted, dives straight at the German. They meet head-on at a closing speed of almost 1,000 miles an hour. Yeager holds the trigger down. Mayer's Bf-109 explodes into orange fire and falls in pieces across the rooftops of Berlin. That night, in mess halls from Essex to Suffolk, American pilots drink warm beer and talk in hushed voices about the new reality. They are no longer escorting, they are hunting. The Germans begin to call them die langen Jäger, the long hunters. April 1944. The oil campaign begins. Allied intelligence has identified the Achilles heel of the German war machine: synthetic oil plants and refineries. Knock them out and the Panzer stall, the Luftwaffe walks. General Jimmy Doolittle, now commanding the 8th, removes the leash. P-51 groups are given free rein to strafe airfields after the bombers have gone home. Captain Clarence Bud Anderson of the 357th lands at Debden one evening with 93 bullet holes in his Mustang, Old Crow, and a grin on his face. He has just shot down 2 fighters and destroyed 5 more on the ground at an airfield near Halle. The Luftwaffe is forced to disperse its planes in forests, paint them in camouflage, hide them under haystacks. Pilots taxi out between trees like frightened deer. On the ground, German teenagers, 15, 16 years old, are rushed through training and thrown into cockpits. They call themselves the Hitler Youth Express. The Americans call them sitting ducks. May 12, 1944. The darkest day. Over 800 B-17s and B-24s strike oil targets at Zwickau, Merseburg, Löhne. Nearly 900 P-51s escort them. The Luftwaffe throws up everything it has left, over 500 fighters. The sky becomes a maelstrom of burning aluminum and falling men. Lieutenant Colonel Hubert Zemke, now commanding the 479th Fighter Group in P-51s, shoots down 3 in one mission. Chuck Yeager gets 4. Don Gentile gets 3 more, before his engine throws a rod and he crash lands in a German farmer's field. By nightfall, the Jagdwaffe has lost 64 pilots killed or missing. Many of them were instructors, the last of the old guard. There's no one left to teach the children. That same week, in a quiet room at the Reich Air Ministry, Adolf Galland writes a memo that will never be sent. He writes, "The long-range fighter has ceasing to be a myth. It is a reality we can no longer ignore. The defense of the Reich is collapsing." June 6, 1944. D-Day. While the greatest invasion fleet in history steams toward Normandy, 15 fighter groups, nearly 900 P-51s, sweep the skies of northern France clean. The Luftwaffe manages exactly 30 sorties over the beaches all day. Most never return. The Mustangs own the air from the ground to 30,000 feet. By July, the average mission life expectancy of a new German fighter pilot on the Western Front is measured in days, not weeks. August 1944. The writing is on the wall. The 357th Fighter Group, the famous Yoxford Boys, moves to advanced fields in Normandy. From there, they can reach any corner of the Reich twice a day. Their scoreboards read like slaughter. Bud Anderson finishes the war with 16¼ victories, all in the Mustang. Chuck Yeager has 11½, 5 in one day. John England has 17½. The list goes on. In Germany, pilots begin to refuse missions. Some fake engine trouble. Some simply land in neutral Sweden. A few shoot themselves in the foot to avoid flying. The once proud Jagdwaffe is bleeding to death in the sky. January 1st, 1945. Operation Bodenplatte. In a last desperate gamble, the Luftwaffe launches 1,000 fighters at dawn against Allied airfields in France and Belgium. It is meant to be their revenge. It becomes their funeral. Hidden by low cloud, the German planes achieve total surprise, but the moment they break cover, the Mustangs are waiting. In 48 hours, the Jagdwaffe loses over 300 pilots, many of them irreplaceable formation leaders. The Luftwaffe never mounts another large-scale daylight operation.
March 1945. The bridges at Remagen. When American troops capture the Ludendorff Bridge intact, P-51s of the 354th Fighter Group land on the Autobahn nearby to refuel from jerry cans, then take off again to escort bombers deeper into Germany than anyone thought possible. On one of those missions, Lieutenant Raymond Wetmore shoots down 3 Me-262 jets in a single sortie, the fastest killers in the sky, brought down by a propeller fighter older than most of the men flying it. April 1945, the end. The last operational Luftwaffe unit in the West, Jagdgeschwader 7, flying the revolutionary Me-262 jet, is hunted day after day by roaming Mustangs. Even the jets cannot outrun the long hunters when they are low and slow on takeoff or landing. One by one, the silver swallows fall burning into the pine forests of Bavaria. On April 16th, Bud Anderson lands at Debden after his final mission. He has flown 116 combat sorties, fired 1,052,000 rounds of .5 caliber ammunition, and never once been hit by an enemy bullet. He climbs down from Old Crow, pats her side, and walks away without looking back. May 8th, 1945. Victory in Europe. Across the continent, the guns fall silent. In hangars and on grass fields, the surviving Mustangs sit gleaming under the spring sun, their drop tanks empty, their guns silent. They have escorted more than 150,000 bomber sorties, claimed nearly 6,000 enemy aircraft destroyed in the air, another 4,000 on the ground. They have flown missions of 1,500 miles, from England to Berlin and back on a single tank of gas. They have turned the sky over Germany from a German lake into an American highway. And somewhere, in a quiet room that no longer exists, an old German pilot closes his logbook and stares at the wall. He remembers the laughter in the briefing hut 2 years earlier. He remembers the first time he saw the silver arrows coming out of the sun. He remembers the exact moment he realized the war in the air was over. He remembers the airplane the Luftwaffe once mocked as a weak escort. He remembers the P-51 Mustang.